I'm sure many of us know someone, if not you, who's felt uncomfortable talking about religion and money or just have feelings of shame or guilt about it. Welcome to Yahweh's Money, a podcast where we discuss the crossroads or intersections of religion and money. We're going to go deep into topics like tithing and saving and debt and so much more from the religious view. I'm your host, Shay Cooks, CEO and founder, Crusaders for Change, LLC, and our co-host is Vanessa McNelly, one of our financial counselor, coach, educators. Let's talk about God and money. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Yahweh's Money. Today in episode 21, we're going to be talking about mindful money and moving. And I'm telling you, Vanessa and I are my co-hosts, and I have some stories for days because we're both in it, in the thick of it. Hey, Vanessa.
Hello. Yes, this is going to be a little stressful, but a little fun, I think, at the same time. But yeah, I think this is something that, you and I are little experts at. So
Exactly.
So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
I know. Because within the last year, we have both moved. Literally, I closed on a house with my husband and I on just last Friday. So it's only been a week as of today. And we've learned a lot through this process, especially being spoiled as military families.
Right.
They've always taken care of us. So this is my first big move without being attached to the military in 44 years. So it was a lot. But we want to talk to you about the, lessons learned and how to be mindful of your money when planning a move. So it is estimated that 30 million people, I can't believe this, 30 million people in the U.S. will move at least once in the next 12 months. If this is you, now is the time to plan, right, Vanessa?
Exactly. I know. I moved twice in the last year.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, and it's one of those things I don't think you understand until you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
And you still don't understand until, till you're done with the move. And then you say, I'll never do it again. And then you do it again.
And then you do it again.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, it's been 15 years since we moved. And that, I think that even adds a whole different level to it because then you got 15 years of stuff, even though I'm one of those people that quarterly or at least biannually or annually, I try to clear out stuff. I try not to be a hoarder and keep a lot of stuff, but still it was funny. Everybody I would talk to is like, isn't it so funny that you think you're almost done with a room and then you open a closet, or you don't think you're almost done with a move and then you move the bed or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, you got stuff for days.
And then at the end, you don't care. Nothing matters to you.
Nothing
matters. Yeah.
I don't care about labeling a box. I don't care about what goes in the box. I don't care where it goes. Just get it out of this house. So we can
I don't care if it goes with me. I think literally with my last move, I took a whole truckload full of things to Goodwill because I was just over it and I was done.
Oh my God. Yeah. You should have saw the front of our house one day. We gave so much to Goodwill and then we went back to Goodwill and then we went to the dump a couple times. And at one point I was just throwing away stuff. I was like, you're going to get away with the bread box. I threw away my office chair. I'm using my daughter's office chair right now because I was like, just get rid of it. I don't even care at this point. Just throw it away.
Exactly. You just get so frustrated. So because I have lived in 20 houses in the last 10 years.
Oh God.
And that is after I was a military spouse, because just like you, I was a military spouse for about 9 years. But I have continued the tradition of moving often and doing it alone. So it's, oh my gosh. Yeah. I always say I'm not going to do this again. And then I do it again.
Wow. I just don't want to do this anymore. And this is not necessarily our forever home, but it might be just because moving yourself versus hiring somebody or having a military take care of it and hire somebody is on a whole nother level.
Exactly.
And it's just crazy. And saving before you move, let's talk about the money piece, because making a moving budget and identifying how much you can afford are some of the critical steps before necessary for a successful move. And I know you and I have talked about it because I actually planned. I was like, ooh, we got this amount of money and all this. Right. And then when it started racking in the amount of money that, or, really calculating, I'm like, oh my God, it's so expensive.
It really is. And I think you don't even understand the costs until you start comparing, because, you get one quote and you're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I would never pay, $6,000 for someone to pack my stuff and move it. And then you're like, I would totally pay $6,000 for someone to move my stuff because, after the fact, it's ridiculous. And I've done moves both ways. I've paid for movers and packers before out of
Mm-hmm.
pocket, and I've also had friends help me move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both of them come with their own set of
Oh my
challenges.
God.
Yeah, yeah. And it's one of those things where, you have to think about what's important to you and what you will pay for,
Yeah.
and what's important to pay for you.
Yeah.
Because I think at certain times in our lives, different things are important.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, moving is stressful. It
Yeah.
is never easy as you think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always unexpecteds. So,
Always unexpected.
always.
It's like, okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going in, I'm type A, I'm OCD. Like I planned it out. I have it on my app. I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend
Yep.
this amount of money. I need this amount of boxes. I need this amount of tape. I need this amount of packing materials. We need this amount of blankets. It was like every day for the last 2 weeks, I was buying more boxes or getting more boxes and buying more tape. We bought so much tape. It was ridiculous. So much packing paper, so many
Yep.
blankets. Literally the last day of getting out of the house, we're buying more. And then you got to clean the house. And then all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I'm used to the military doing, I had no clue of, and it was
Right.
just so much. And then we did we hired some through this company, just some loaders because we used the pods.
Yep.
And oh my God, I mean, that wasn't expensive as I thought, which is great, but it was just having them come in, and they would come in and these people were like day laborers. They weren't professional prankers because then they're in the house and they're like totally clueless on how to do certain things.
Right. Yeah.
It was just so much. And then, like you said, I asked my family to help us unload on the other side, is what I kept on calling. And my husband's like, it's not the other side. We're not dying. I'm like, but to me, it's the other side. So I kept on saying, well, on the other side. So on the other side, I have my
Yeah.
brother and dad help me. And my dad's just like manhandling boxes and dropping stuff. And it's like, dude, like that's got
Yep.
fragile in it. And my mom's like, the husband, it says fragile. He's like, where does it say fragile? So it's just, so we're dealing with that kind of stuff with it. I was just like, oh my God, this is just so much.
Yeah.
I just need a
Yeah.
drink. I just need a drink.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, I did this past move. I did a slow move, and I will
Mm.
never do a slow move ever in my life, ever again. Because normally it's like you get the work done,
Mm-hmm.
and you pack it, you get it ready to go, you send it off, and then it's done. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I had a 8-week period
Oh
between,
my
yeah,
God.
of moving. And it was just like every week there was something else. And then I forgot about this. And then, oh, I've got to do this. And then people who were going to help me would back out because they knew I had time. And it was
Mm.
just a constant source of worry for
Yeah.
2 months. So yeah.
No.
So if you ever have the opportunity to do that, say no.
Say
Just
no.
say
Just
no to
get it
that one.
done. Get it
Get it
done.
done,
On a
over with.
weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, like 2 weeks at the
Exactly.
most. Like, I
Yep.
hear you. Because I thought ours was a slow move. It wasn't 8 weeks, but it was like 2 to 3 weeks. And it was just, it was a lot. It was a
It's
lot.
agonizing. Yeah,
It really
oh my
is.
gosh,
And then
yeah.
there's the money aspect. I'm talking about sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, especially
Right.
15 years, 2,500 square foot home, going to a bigger home. It was just a lot. I just like, I didn't factor that. It was just so much money, Vanessa.
We
It was
forget
so
what
much
we
money.
have in our homes. And I
Yeah.
think we're very good at packing things away that we only
Mm.
see when we need.
Yeah.
So we forget about all the things that we have. So, because I was doing that with this move too, because I've lived a little bit of everywhere. I've lived
Mm-hmm.
overseas, I've lived in the Caribbean, I've lived everywhere. So my things are a little scattered out because my dad has
Mm.
been like, oh, I'll hold on to that for you. So the job
Oh,
with
okay.
this house was to get everything here so that
Mm-hmm.
all my stuff was in one location. And
Yeah.
that has proven to be a little harder than I expected. So I will say I still have a storage unit that has things of
Oh,
my father's in.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's there's always something, just always
It's
something with the
always
move.
something. I know. We have a pod sitting out in front of our house that has all of our like storage stuff now that we're going to put in
Yeah,
our storage in our
yeah,
house. But it's like all the Christmas stuff and, the stuff for the kitchen that you only use a couple times a year and that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
right,
I'm glad we're
yeah.
down to that. But it was funny because we thought we were only going to need 2 pods, but we ended up having three 16-foot pods, a storage room, and a U-Haul truck. I was just like, and my husband's Ford F-150 in my car on top of that. We
Oh my
literally filled
goodness.
all of that stuff. And I'm like, like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, and I really could justify how we use all this stuff at least a few times a year, because I really don't want to hang on to something that we don't use that often. And
Right.
but it's just like, oh my God, Americans.
I
That's why I kept on
know.
saying when I went to the storage room, I talked to the lady, Tina. Shout out to her, man, because Cube Smart was super helpful because we needed it in a bind. Like I rented it that day and moved in that day.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
was just so nice. And I was like, Americans, we just got too much stuff. We just got too much stuff.
We do. We so do. And I always like pride myself on not having a lot of
Yeah,
stuff. I have a lot of stuff.
I me
So,
too.
yeah,
Oh
have a
my
lot of stuff.
God. So, what are some ways for you to prepare financially for your move? So, in Luke 14:28, it says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the costs to see if you have enough money to complete it? Well, that's the way it should be done, right? But not a lot of people do that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think with you and I, Shay, we're both type A's. So we
Mm-hmm.
plan everything out to a T.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people out there who don't,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even think about planning. I know,
Yeah.
a lot of my family are just like, you know what? It's going to work out. It's going to be fine.
Exactly.
All is going to be great. And I'm over there stressing because I'm like, it's not going to be okay. It's not going to be fine. I don't know what's going to happen. But when you plan, at least you have a heads up,
Mm-hmm.
I know, because even like with this last move, I decided to use my neighbor and his friends as
Mm.
a moving crew. Don't ever do that if you're an
Don't
adult.
ever.
Don't ever. This is a PSA. Do not do that. If you are an adult person, pay real people who do this for
Real
a
people,
job.
professionals, experts. Yeah.
Because it just turned into this like crap show.
Oh my
And,
God.
I mean, literally, I think my dresser ended up like upside down for some reason because they decided that was made more sense.
Oh
But
my
I'm dealing with
God.
4 21-year-olds, so that's
Oh
just
my
my story
God.
right there. But oh my gosh, it was just an awful, crazy day. So, when you plan ahead and you say, okay, this is what I can truly afford. Number one, can you afford to move? Moving is
Yes,
expensive.
that part. Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. I have a neighbor, same neighbor. I've been helping him look at houses, and the bank tells him one thing, and I tell him another thing, because the reality of it is the bank says you can afford this, and you can, but you will be super poor in every other aspect of
On
your
every
life.
other aspect. Yeah, house poor for real.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and dude, you're 21. Like, you should be out there having fun,
Mm.
going out, traveling, doing all
Mm-hmm.
these things. But, I think we've just gotten this habit of we expect the best and we
Mm-hmm.
expect the most. And, and we forget to kind of plan ahead to take care
Yeah.
of those things. So, yeah, but oh my gosh, if we didn't plan, oh, I think we both would have been in a world of hurt.
I
But,
know. Well, I kind of already feel like I'm in a world of hurt, but you're
right.
right. And our producer Adriana just gave us a fun fact that the average long distance move in the U.S. costs between $2,500 and $5,700, so $22,500 to $5,700. I just spoke
Mm-hmm.
to somebody who was talking about. Actually, it was my hygienist at the dentist office. We were talking about moving. She had just moved from Richmond, Virginia, to Maryland, and she said it was $15,000 she was quoted.
It's
$15,000.
so
And so she
crazy.
was like, she just did it herself just like us and did the whole
Yep.
pod thing and all that. And then, and if you using a moving company, they require that they perform in-person estimates. So you definitely you want to check that out. But it's so and obviously with inflation right now in 2022, 2023, is the cost of everything is just outrageous. But so
Right.
you imagine
Right.
add all that into the moving and like the boxes, everything's more expensive. I know a lot of people say go on Facebook Marketplace to get the free boxes and so forth, which are great resources, but it's just so expensive. I know. I ain't gonna lie. We done probably spend about. I think because I have a budget going. I have to look at it again, but it's around $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Even and we didn't hire anybody but a couple
Yeah.
movers to unpack and stuff. But between the materials and the pods rentals and the U-Haul and the blankets that
Yeah.
are so expensive to protect all your stuff, and then I'm not even adding in your time and your energy and the gas money and transporting, and It's a lot. It's a
Exactly,
lot.
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think mine ended up being about 5,500.
Oh, wow.
And, and it was one of those things where it's just me. It's not a family, it's not a
Yeah.
household, it is just me.
That's wow.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, I think one thing we have to think about is what is our time worth as well? What
Mm,
you just said, because
yeah.
it is completely exhausting. And my whole thing at this point in my life is I will save my energy for unpacking because not moving things from place to place. I
Yeah.
will save my energy from packing and unpacking.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work and you were just exhausted for a long
A
time.
long
um,
time.
hmm
Yeah, I just looked at my budget. It was
oh
$13,000, and
my
that included
goodness.
$2,200 for a hotel
uh,
because we sold a house, and then we had the
hmm
time, that 2 week span before we could move into the house that we bought. And let's talk about that. When you're buying and selling houses, like I know this because I've been doing this over 20 years, financial counseling and all that. But when you're actually in the thick of it, and it's like, oh my God, you have to pay closing costs on the selling side, and you have to pay closing costs on the
yep,
buying side. That's a lot of money,
it's a lot
especially
of
if you're
money.
not, selling and buying on your own. You have a realtor. Oh my god,
Right.
I
I
was just
know.
like, that cost alone is a lot. And I don't think people understand that moving cost, or that the cost
Exactly.
of buying and selling. It's
hmm
not just like the house. It's
right.
all of the
Yeah,
fees, the thousands of
exactly.
fees, the long title, all the, oh my
hmm
God, the
hmm
document. I have to share that I actually was like impressed with myself because I understood all of that this second time buying. And I know you and
hmm
Adriana have bought homes several times, but this is only my second time buying. And I was like, first of all, I was just proud that I understood all the fees, but I was also at the
right.
same time annoyed as hell that there's so many fees. Why are you paying me, charging me $100 to pull a credit report?
Right.
Just like that kind of
Right.
stuff was
Yeah.
really annoying. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think so many people, they just think, okay, this house is going to cost,
Mm-hmm.
$150,000 or $500,000,
Nope.
and there's so many things you don't think about,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they estimate closing costs to be what 3 to 6% of the
Yeah.
house purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do the math for that, and you're like,
Crazy.
okay, that's like 20 grand, or that's
That's 20
thirty
to
thousand
30. That
dollars
exactly.
and you're like, oh crap, and I have to have that now, and I have to, it really kind of, I think it puts you back in that position where you're like, okay, let me step back for a second. I thought I could do this, or maybe I should like
Mm.
relook at prices, or maybe I should look
Mm.
at, for sale by owners or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's a lot of money, and
That's a
and then you
lot
get
of
in
money.
your home, and
Oh my
your
God,
curtains
that
don't
part.
fit, and
Oh
you
my
need
God.
blinds,
You
and
need
you need to
shower
paint.
caddies. You
Oh
need
my
new
gosh, yeah.
command hooks. Like,
Yeah.
that's all the stuff. You need
I
rugs because you don't
know.
slip your.
So many things that, and especially even, this was something as a military move, you kind of always had to think ahead about,
Yeah.
how would things fit in your new home. So that was like one thing I spent a lot of money one time and bought one of those love sack sectionals
Oh my
where,
God. Me and my sister was just talking about that 2 weeks ago.
yep, and it was fabulous because every single seat comes apart and you can
Yeah.
completely rearrange it, and you never
Mm-hmm.
knew like what kind of housing you'd be living in, so it would always fit. You could always make it fit. But when these things happen, you have to think about, okay, are my things actually going to fit in the house?
Oh my God. That part, that
Yeah,
part, that part.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I moved into an 1800s home one time in
Mm.
Kansas, could not get my queen bed up the stairs, and learned that everybody got fulls and split box springs. And I'm like, I just spent
Oh my
five
God.
grand on a new bedroom suit that I can't even get in my bedroom.
Oh, that's
So,
horrible. I know we had a Turkish set that in our last house we bought 15 years ago. It was a 3 level townhome, so it was a lot of stairs. And
mm-hmm.
I literally had to get a carpenter to come in and cut the, oh my God, what are those things called? The big, I can't even think of them right now, but had to cut pieces off of my bed so I could
Oh,
get upstairs. But
oh
luckily
no.
he fixed it where we could screw it back on. Yeah, it was the headboard, but it had the two big, oh my God, I can't think of it. But yeah, it was just crazy. And so thank God we're moving this house. They struggle. And plus it's real wood and it's super, super heavy. So
Yep,
it took 3 strong men, including my husband, to get it upstairs in this house. And my husband was just
yep.
worried it wasn't going to get there. And then I have an even more funnier story. So yesterday we're looking at, we have all these spices and seasonings because my husband and daughter like to cook. And we, in our old house, we left these these spice rack things that, you pull out and have the single spices on. It was really, really nice. And it was just a lot of work taking it out. So my husband had forgot how much he spent on it. So I was like, oh, get the same thing. He's like, Shay, they were $130. I'm like, what? I didn't know he spent that kind of money on a spice rack. And so he's like, I just gifted the new buyers $130 a spice rack. I didn't know they cost that much. I mean, oh my God, I put some spices on. So he got the cheaper $40 ones for this house. I was like, oh, they're going to have better spice racks than we have in our new home. But it's just like those kind of things that start adding up.
Exactly.
Lowe's has become our second, like our date night is we go to Lowe's every day because you need new stuff for your house to, to make up for all the stuff you had in your other house. So
exactly. And you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how it's going to fit. You don't know if there's going to be wall space for it.
Exactly.
I mean, because before I moved, my father bought me this huge television, and it was not something I wanted, but he is a big fan of Home Shopping Network. So he thought he was doing a good thing. And he buys like me and my brother and himself like these huge like 85-inch televisions.
Oh my God, Vanessa.
Yeah. And like it gets to my house and I'm like, I don't have a wall this television will fit on. Like I live in like a mid-century modern like 50s style house, and I'm like, where do I put this TV? So then I had to go buy something to put the TV on, and it's in my bedroom.
And I'm like, a big TV for a bed.
It's the only place it will fit in this whole house, And you're just like, okay, it doesn't look right. In my perfect world, I would have maybe like a 42-inch.
Yeah, I have a 36 in mine. Yeah.
But I'm just like, okay, I have this TV that I don't even want, but I had to buy something to put the TV on because it was a gift, and there's all these things. And it's like, when things don't fit right, you think about, okay, well, I'm going to get something new or different. Yeah. And that's more cost to the move.
Exactly. So. More cost to the move. And I have to do a PSA too. This is first world problems. I know there are problems and they're real, but they're first world. Right. Okay. Because not everybody can afford 36, 85-inch TVs.
True. I agree. Yes, that's
But
very,
a lot of
very
people
true.
Can relate to what we're going through.
Yes. And like I said, mine was a gift. So
yeah, exactly.
I did not buy it and I would never buy it. So, oh my goodness.
Oh my God. It's like a size of a movie screen. Like, what the hell you need a 60 or 85 for TV? That's crazy. I love your dad. So what are some lessons learned throughout your process? And is there anything you would do differently? As well as what are some of your financial wins from your move? I don't feel like I have any financial wins at this point. I'm just going to say, but what are some of the lessons you've learned?
Oh gosh. Okay. So first off, I would just make sure that when you're looking at moving, that you're going to be there for a little bit. That's number one.
Yeah.
I think they say you need to be there at least 2 to 3 years to even just make sense of moving. So,
yeah, and longer if you're buying because,
Exactly. And I know I offend this all the time because I don't stay that long, but just make sure that, because that's one thing I did because I was renting before. So I made sure that I was able to say, okay, moving makes sense because I will save this much per month, including the move, because I always include those expenses in the cost.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a month for month. So just make sure it makes financial sense to move first and foremost, and then just really think about what you're going to gain and what you're going to lose and kind of weigh those things out. But as far as a win goes, I will tell you that, doing this as many times as I've done it, I knew to expect hiccups. And I think that's something that we all have to kind of be prepared for. Yeah. We can plan and we can plan and we can plan, and things are never going to go exactly the way we want them to go. So we always need to have like a contingency plan and maybe some extra cash put away just in case, because things happen. So being able to stay under that number was definitely a win for me with this move. Because it did allow me to do a couple of things at the new house that I wanted to do and I couldn't have done otherwise. I guess the big win is it happened. It's done. It was under budget. So I'm super happy with that.
Yeah.
But just make sure that, you really plan it out and save for a rainy day too.
Yeah. And what does it say? God laughs at our best made plans or something like that. I don't remember what the quote is, but God laughs at our plans. Yeah. So, and how do you continue to honor God through the process, right? I know for me, through the process. I mean, I'm still really in the thick of it. It's been not
Right.
even a week since I moved in, since we slept in the house. So I still am trying to figure out some of those lessons. I mean, I try my best to
Yeah.
plan. Like you saying, Vanessa, I just had to be flexible because a lot of things did not go the way I wanted them to go,
Right. Right.
and I'm
Yeah.
not even thinking yet of how I'll do something differently. Eventually, I'm sure my husband and I talk about it all the time. We'll sit down and like, all right, this is what we
Yeah.
learned and all that good stuff. But honoring God through the process, because I'm telling you, if it wasn't for
Yep.
God, I wouldn't have got through this. Because there was times, especially if you're doing it with a partner, a spouse. Oh my God, I wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill
Yeah.
me. There was just some things, I can only imagine us trying to remodel together. Because if we can't move, it was just so much. It was so hard.
Oh.
And just thanking God and still doing my devotions every day, just like it
Right.
wasn't, because I just, and honoring him, even when I would pack, I would cut on my praise music and just make sure I was with God during the
Yeah.
process. And he would just
Yeah.
give me just some things. It was amazing of how things would work out when I felt like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was doing. He figured it out for me and he showed me, whether it was simple as organizing something or something as, oh, we don't have any blankets and I need it now, and going to the U-Haul store and
Yeah.
having everything we needed. To me, that was God. It because I had called
Definitely.
around for weeks looking for certain things at U-Hauls and they didn't have it, but the day I needed it was available. So to me, that was me just saying, thank you, God. Like, thank you for
Definitely.
always being there, providing me. And
Yeah.
also thanking you for this beautiful house we had for 15 years that we raised our daughter in. Unfortunately, my dog died in, but that I had amazing time with
Mm.
my dog in, that I accomplished so much in. But then being able to move on to something, a new chapter, that giving
Exactly.
honor to him during that process and on
Yeah.
each side, on the other side, on this side, whatever side, that was important to me. So I always want to bring it back to
Mm-hmm.
God, because it's Yahweh's
Mm-hmm.
money. This ain't our
Right.
money. We're
Right.
just, I
Yeah.
was
Well,
here.
and our behavior during this
Mm.
process, during
Oh,
the
well, that's huge.
stresses,
Yeah.
I mean, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed and not treat others the way we should treat others.
Mm.
So remembering that, this is temporary. We're going to get through it. It may
Yeah.
be a disastrous situation to us, but for the rest of the
Mm.
world, it keeps moving on and
Keeps
it doesn't
moving
matter.
on.
So
Yeah.
just being able to do these things with grace, I think, is a
Mm.
huge thing too. And that's so
Yeah.
hard to do. So hard to
So
do.
hard to do, because we still
Yeah.
got the flesh that we entertain and we're still human. And sometimes I'll
Right.
just be like, my husband, when certain things weren't going right outside of whether it was with the realtor, we were dealing with some crazy stuff with the buyer on this, with the seller on this side. It was crazy. And I was like, people will be people. That's what we kept on telling my husband.
Exactly.
My husband and I kept telling ourselves, rather, was people will be people and we should expect that. But God is
Yep.
going to provide. Rather, at one time we felt like we were homeless. It was 2 weeks, but we're like, you know what? We have each other. So we're going to get through this,
Right.
So yeah, you're right. That grace is super important.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
I just, if somebody's planning on moving, make sure that you are number one in the right headspace, because you do
Yeah.
have to be in a good spot. Save and plan, and know
Mm,
that, if you are moving, we've been there. Everybody's been there.
mm,
There's definitely somebody you can talk to, a
yeah.
friend that has been there, done that. So take their advice. They know
Yeah.
what they've done and what's worked and what hasn't worked. But you'll get through it, and it'll be
You
better on the other
will.
side. Yeah.
That is amazing, and just be positive. And I would say my spirit is saying, contact Crusaders for Change. Pay for one session with us. We will
Yep.
help you, because not only we're all of
Totally.
the team as experts, literally everybody that's on this team are experts in moving, have been through it, have lived through it, but we're also experts in helping people financially prepare for any situation, budget. So definitely reach out to Crusaders for Change to help you with that. We are here to support you. So yeah, that was amazing. Our next episode, we'll be talking about what's your worth, and you can tune in to current and future episodes of Yahweh's Money wherever podcasts are found, including Apple, Google, and Spotify. So thank you for joining us today, and remember, it's always, always, always better Yahweh's way. Thank you for listening to this episode of Yahweh's Money. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the crossroads of religion and money. If you have any questions or suggestions of topics you would like to hear us tackle, please email us at yahweh@crusaders4change.org. Also, we would love to hear your feedback on today's episode, so please leave us a review and remember to subscribe to our podcast. To hear all of Yahweh's Money's latest episodes, please visit us at www.crusaders4change.org or wherever podcasts are found. God bless.